story to share. I was gonna try to type it up on the good old Facebook, but it was just as I started typing, it was just too much to write out. I don't think anyone would have wanted to read it. Yeah, so usually also when I write, I kind of have some inspiration and everything when I'm typing things out. I'm not a good writer generally. It's just like I have moments and pockets where I can type things out, and I just wasn't feeling it about this situation, so I thought I'd just do a little verbal story on it. But anyways, so I started working with this contractor maybe 3 months ago, and seemed like super nice dude, totally good dude. Sending me out to jobs, cruise out in my truck, whatever it was, whether it's doing tile, flooring, drywall, framing, whatever. It's all been going pretty good. But the only thing is I was kind of always consistently 2 to 3 weeks in the hole on as far as my wages were going, which was fine. We really never set a time frame, but after about the first month, I was kind of telling him, hey, I need to get on a schedule. I need to get on some sort of pay schedule, and I was always told, I'm working on payroll, we're going to get it going and whatever. Well, fast forward to last Saturday, and it's Tuesday morning at like 5 in the morning. I woke up just now and thought I'd record this. So I'm a month in the hole as far as pay goes. The guy owes me $3,497, and the week prior I was saying, dude, you gotta send me some money. Like, I'm having to borrow money at this point, because it's costing me gas. He's sending me, places that are up to 90 miles away from where I am. So I'm spending, especially in my big truck, some days I'm spending $50 in gas, just for one day of work. So, which is fine, I'm putting in 10, 12-hour days, so it kind of makes up for it anyways. And that's our agreement, I'm not bummed about that, but I'm going, hey man, I need $2,000. I got rent to pay, and because he owes me, like I said, at this point I'm in debt $3,500 basically. Hey man, I need $2,000. He doesn't respond. Hey, I need $2,000 by this weekend. I gotta pay rent. Okay, I'll figure it out, is what he tells me. He says, hey, last week it was sent out beginning of the week, and I still didn't have a check. It's this past weekend, and I'm like, what's going on? Did you send a check, and how much was it for? And he tells me he sent a check for $800. So I tell him that's not even a quarter of what you owe me. That's not going to cover anything. I've been pouring out hours and hours of my existence, and I didn't tell him this, but it's basically almost like a slap in the face. And at this point, I'm getting red flags. And if you guys know my wife, Lauren, she's been warning me for a little while, going, I don't know about this guy. I don't know if he's going to pay you. And I defended this man, going, no, he seems like a good dude. He's saying he's going to pay me. And then I start trying to pin him down, going, and all our communication is via text. Thank God. I have everything via text message, basically. So it's all documented. And I'm going, well, when are you going to pay me, and how much do you owe me? I was like, you owe me this much. And he will not give me a number of how much he owes me. If I showed you the text, it's bizarre. It's like dealing with a child. Like, I will ask a straightforward question. How much do you owe me? And he'll respond, and he'll go off on some tangent about 3 weeks ago wondering how many miles I drove. It's just irrelevant things, and I keep going, dude, can you just answer my questions? Are you saying you're not going to pay me what you owe me? If so, how much are you saying that you owe me? And he will not answer, and I keep trying to go, when are you going to get this money to me? He's just refusing to give any sort of answer. So at this point, I tell the guy, I can't really come out and work for you at this point. I can't just come out for free. I'm having to borrow money just to exist because you're so far behind on my pay. And once we got and boiled down to everything, and I finally got it out of him, basically, he's just flat out refusing to pay what he owes me. Thank God, though, and I told him very matter-of-factly that I have every single text message we've ever sent saved. I have every single hour documented. At the end of every single week, I sent him what my balance was that he owed me. And never once did he ever call into question one single hour or one single dollar. So I've covered my tail, so I gave him basically 2 weeks. I said, and this is generous because I could have went right to the labor board, but I told him, you got 2 weeks. After those 2 weeks, man, I'm giving you till September 11th, 2015 to give me the money that you owe me, the money that I've worked for. And he's supposed to be taking taxes out of it too, but I think he's just so disorganized he's not doing any of that. So whatever. But anyways, I gave him that time frame, and I'm like, I have to go to the labor board. But that leaves me in a spot with 4 children, a wife, rent that's due actually today, and no job because I had to quit. It's like I can't just keep driving out to LA or out to Barstow or all these places and just work for a man who's clearly a liar and a thief. I mean, I'm not trying to insult the guy, but that's what it comes down to. It's just honesty. He's trying to steal money from me. He's stolen hours and hours of my life, and it is what it is. But I want to turn this into something else, because this is where the story gets really interesting. And I could say for a few weeks prior to this, some incredible things have been happening as far as what the Lord's been doing in my life. It seems like every time there's huge trials, he does some of the most incredible things. So get this. Here I am. This is Saturday that I find out basically that I have no job, and the man I've been working for is refusing to pay me the money he owes me, and rent's due, and so on and so forth. And so that's a lot of stress on a man, as one can imagine. But here's what happens. The very next day I'm scheduled to share my testimony at church. Just recently, I had posted a Craigslist ad maybe a month ago, just going, hey, does anyone want some worship out there? I got some free time, Bible study, church, whatever. Ended up leading to the place where both Lauren and I are leading worship down at this little Baptist church down in Fallbrook. And so I go down and I share my testimony about some of the things the Lord's done in my life, how he brought me out of the spot where I was at, brought me to where I am, so on and so forth. And some of the things that were going on recently. And I told the congregation, I don't know why I brought up the job thing, but I just mentioned it real briefly, and even this week, because to me it was amazing, because even though this is a lot of stress, at the same time, God's given me complete peace through the process. It's bizarre, because there's times in my past where I would have been like furious at this man. I wouldn't be able to sleep because my blood would have been boiling. Like, how could a man do this to another man? How could a man financially ruin another man's family? A man who's worked hard for him every day, shown up at every job, blown off other work because he's made commitments to this man, and then this guy does this. This is how you get repaid, and I would have been furious. But you know what? Put in the Lord's hands. I know God's in control of everything. I say that, but how much do I really believe it? I mean, it's easy to say we believe things, but when the time for testing comes, how do we react? I mean, it's a really good litmus test of where your faith really is when those hard times hit. So anyways, I just briefly throw probably maybe 2 sentences in there about how this is a trial I've hit even leading up to sharing my testimony, and here I am, full of peace about the situation, and it's weird. Or even the fact that all last week when I was working, before I was going to share my testimony before worship, I was staying in a motel solo out in Inglewood for this job he had me on. And I'm going to be honest, as a man, it's very easy to, while you're just sitting in a motel by yourself with hours on your time, it'd be very easy to put something, completely that would offend my wife and be offensive to the Lord on the television. I could just throw on some pornography. I could have gone out, just gotten a bunch of drinks, and something I might have done in the past. Just gone out and got a bunch of drinks at a bar. Seen what's up. In fact, at one point I went to go get some food at this Mexican place that my friend recommended. Thank you, Alyssa, if you end up watching this. Great food. Cruised out there and made a wrong turn and passed by, friggin' gentleman's club. And it's like, I love to say that something like that isn't going to put temptation in me, but I'm a dude, I drove past it and kind of looked at it. And, of course the inclination comes in my mind, like, hey, who's going to know? I could just cruise in here for a little bit. What's the big deal, But at that point, I was really digging into the Word. God had been showing me a lot of other things during the week, which I'm not going to go into because this is already going to be kind of long. Pretty amazing stuff, actually. But I was seeking to avoid those things. I spent a lot of time in His Word, some time in prayer, some time on other research and whatnot. So, I don't know. Whatever. I try to avoid those things to keep my heart and mind right before the Lord. And I believe He does reward us. Our salvation is not earned by works, but the things that we do really dictate whether our salvation is real and whether our relationship with Him is real. And also, He rewards that and He blesses it. So right after I share my testimony on Sunday morning, at the end of church, a man walks up to me. And if any of you know me, for many, many years, I did garage doors, and I still do garage doors. I have my own company. Even when I was working with this contractor, I was still doing my own garage door jobs. It's just, I got introduced to it a long time ago. Doesn't matter. Whatever. Anyways, so the guy walks up to me, a gentleman named Mark, and I remember a few weeks prior, one of the ladies on the worship team had said to me, hey, I have a buddy named Mark. He owns a garage door company. He might be looking to hire somebody at some point, and so on and so forth. He doesn't go to the church we're at, but it just happened to be that morning he comes up and tells me that he and his wife, at their church, they kind of do a combined service every 5 weeks, and they're not a huge fan of it for whatever reason. I'm not exactly sure the whole details on that. I think it's maybe the worship style or whatever. But he came this morning to his friend Jeannie's church just thinking, why don't we go check that out? We don't want to be here this morning. Let's just go over there. Let's cruise by. Had no idea I was sharing my testimony, no idea about any of that. And he comes up to me right after the service, and essentially we talk for, I don't know, maybe 30, 45 minutes. He and his wife and me and my wife. And what ended up coming out of it, the day after I lose my job, in a nutshell, is I got given a job. And not only did I get given a job, because I could get hired with basically any garage door company. That's not the problem. The problem is that 95% of those garage door companies want me to rip people off. And I will not do that. I will not do that. So their dilemma is, we can hire Mike, who's going to do a great job and he's going to get everything done, or we can hire this guy who may do a great job too. I'm not saying that their installers aren't a great job, but this other installer is also going to sell a bunch of stuff that these people don't need dishonestly, which is going to boost our ticket way up. So I'm usually on the short end of that stick because I stand by my guns. I'm not going to swindle people. So not only did I get a job, but I'm working a job for a garage door company. If anyone knows anything about garage door companies, they're almost always commission based because they want your money to be based off of sales because they want to sell a ton of stuff. So now I found a company owned by a Christian man. I'm going to be making more than I was making before. And it's at an hourly rate, so I don't have to worry about swindling people. He has the same exact philosophy on business as I do, which is treating people and the customer right, doing only what is necessary, and building up clientele rather than trying to go into a person's house, getting as much money out of them as you can, and then bailing. To me, this was just miraculous timing. I mean, I go from finding out that I can no longer work for a man one day and the very next day being given full-time work. There wasn't even a day in between where I didn't. It's incredible. When I look at that, it's just a blessing from the Lord that's indescribable. I'm not even doing it justice. When I found this out, okay, now this is days later, but I'm saying the reality of it was, yes, I had peace from the Lord, but still you're going, Lord, I have peace, I have trust in you, but this is still kind of scary. I mean, I got a family to support. How is this going to pan out? And it's just a good reminder that God sees every moment in our existence. He knows everything that's happening. And if we'll put faith in Him, He's going to make even the toughest of things work out. One little side note I guess I'll throw on just as an example, because I'm saying these things of this magnitude have been happening for weeks lately in my life. And I don't know why or what God's timing is right now. He's been revealing a lot of things to me, which I will not get into whatsoever right now. It would take hours and hours. But one other note was one of the guys I was working with for this prior company. Extreme fear of bugs. Great guy. But he would always point out to me when there was a bug, and I would get rid of the bug and whatever. It's just a weird scenario. Once he found a praying mantis in this house we were working on. I even posted about it on Facebook. And, I caught the thing, let it outside or whatever. And I was kind of telling him, I'm like, I know it's kind of corny, but whenever I think of praying mantis, it reminds me to pray. And I guess he was kind of a believer in the Lord at one point, maybe kind of fallen away. I don't know exactly where he's at, but I don't think he's really walking it anymore. And he just had made a comment that maybe it's also there to remind you that God's presence is there and He's looking down on you. So yeah, that's kind of cool too. I like that. Well, when I quit, and I knew I wasn't going to see this guy anymore that I've been working with, who I really enjoy. He's a great dude. We really got along. I sent him a message because he's going through some really, really hard stuff. Like harder than me losing my job kind of stuff. Like losing people you love kind of stuff. And I won't go into it because it's his business, of course. And I sent him a message telling him, you know what, dude, I've really enjoyed working with you. I'm sorry we're not going to be working together anymore. I really appreciate the time we've had together. I said, this may sound strange, and I know it's rough, but in the hardest times, in those times, I wish I had my phone with me. I would just read exactly what I wrote. But basically telling him, in those times that are roughest for us, that's often when God is trying to get our attention the most. And that's where if we'll allow Him to tune our hearts and our minds to His frequency, essentially. I don't know what better analogy. Or Him opening our eyes to what He's doing around us, If we'll allow Him to do that and just ask, He will. And it was funny, and I told him, I'm sorry about everything that's going on, but daylight's coming, dude. I know you're in darkness right now, but daylight's coming. And right after that, I get a text back, and he goes, "Look what found me again." And there's a picture of a praying mantis that he just snapped as I sent him that message or whatever. It was just. It's stupid, I know people would find that completely ridiculous, but to me it was just like a good reminder. I feel like if we're seeking the Lord in honesty and integrity, He's going to send those things our way that we need that will remind us, sometimes in the silliest ways like a praying mantis, or sometimes in the most extreme ways where you just lost your job and God happens to send a man who doesn't even go to your church, to this church on this particular morning to provide you with a job. I mean, it's insane. Like I said, just too much to type out. I probably would have typed it on my Facebook. Maybe making this video would be a little more effective. I don't know. I guess I feel so inadequate.